अभिषेक कुछ बोलो.
हेलो हेलो हेलो.
Hello and a very warm welcome to this special. We're building up to the big game coming up tonight in IPL 2023. It's the Royal Challengers Bangalore versus the Chennai Super Kings. Two legends of the game, Virat Kohli and MS Dhoni, will be against each other. The occasion itself is big because what we could be seeing possibly is one of their last encounters, because remember, in the group stages, these two teams do not play each other again. So it is a big moment, and why this is also a big moment is that the fans of Virat Kohli and MS Dhoni have already seen what these two players are capable of, what they've done in the past, but they've already been able to see some of those shots from Virat Kohli and from MS Dhoni. MS Dhoni has played some cameos. Virat Kohli has been the leading scorer for Royal Challengers Bangalore. So both these players are looking good, but the moment itself is also special, like I just said. Okay, with me now are Abhishek Kumar, who is here in the studio with me, my colleague. I also have with me senior journalist, anchor, YouTuber Jamie Alter, who's on the show. Kushant Sarkar, another senior journalist, will join us on the show as well. But let's get straight into it, gentlemen. This is a big match for the two teams, because what happens now is that both these teams, Jamie, let me start with you. Both these teams right now at the bottom of the table. These are early days, I know, but today's win will ensure that they get into the top 5. So keeping that in mind, I think both these teams would want it, especially Royal Challengers Bangalore. You know, they want to make sure, the fans have been waiting for that trophy. They want to make sure that, as many wins as they can get, they want to get it straight away. But the moment itself, Jamie, what do you think of it, that we could possibly be seeing these two gentlemen on the field playing against each other? I'm not going to say it just yet, but we're getting into that zone where we might not see them together.
It's a very distinct possibility. I mean, MS Dhoni has been very traditionally cagey about his future and when he will play his last game for CSK. But there have been enough indications from the man himself that this will be the final season. As a player, I don't think MS Dhoni will ever fully be able to detach himself from the Chennai franchise. He will be around in many capacities for many years. But you're absolutely right. This could be the last time, because as far as RCB are concerned, and again, I'm sorry if any RCB fans are watching, I just don't think this squad has what it takes to make the playoffs. Chennai might get there despite the injuries. But you just look at the fact that for how many years Kohli and Dhoni played together. Kohli was obviously the heir apparent to Dhoni, and he got the Test captaincy when Dhoni stepped down midway through an Australia tour, and then it was Dhoni himself who a couple of years later said, I think Virat Kohli should be the one day and white ball captain. So there's a lot of history between these two players, both on and off the field. And if this is actually going to be the final time we see these two great Indian cricketers square off against each other, I think the fact that the ground has been packed and the tickets are apparently sold out days in advance. Whoever wins is probably secondary, though I'm not a fan of either team as such. But just keeping in mind everything that we've just talked about, whoever gets into the Chinnaswamy today, let's hope they're treated to a fantastic match.
The other thing being the kind of fan following that these two legends have, Abhishek, isn't that so? I mean, we have seen how fans quarrel over their players on Twitter, on social media, but somehow when it comes to Tala and when it comes to Virat Kohli, fans love and respect both these players because of what they've done, obviously for India, and how brilliant they are as cricketers. But it's great to watch these two players. It has been great over the years, and somehow it feels like it should not end. I mean, if we could freeze time, we would want to, because why would you want to watch both of them on the field, and the love and respect that they have for each other as well? I mean, we saw how last year when they met after COVID, you know, the way they hugged each other. It's so they've often spoken about how much they respect each other. So
Right,
yeah, big occasion.
yeah, I mean, yeah, the rivalry, you know, RCB and CSK share is one of the greatest in the IPL. And but you know, Virat Kohli and MS Dhoni obviously are, you know, are their brotherhood is celebrated by, you know, millions of cricket fans across the country. And whenever these two play, you know, obviously fans will be divided because RCB enjoy, you know, a similar kind of a following that CSK does. But you know, I mean, they would die to see, you know, these two guys play together for a number of years to come. But yeah, MS Dhoni, you know, as Jamie sir pointed out, that he has himself indicated on several occasions that this might be his last season. But we never know with the man, you know, with the kind of man he is. You know, he likes to keep his cards close to his chest. You know, never goes bonkers in terms of revealing what his plans are. So we might see a couple of seasons more of MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli, but we never know.
We're just hoping that happens. Okay, we'll also wait for Kushan Sarkar to join us. But Jamie, the team itself, Royal Challengers Bangalore, you just said that you're not a big fan and you don't see them making it to the playoffs. Let's start with the batting, and I think that's where the problem is, the huge dependency on Virat Kohli, Faf du Plessis and Glenn Maxwell. And you know, what is incredible is that this has been happening for so long now. I mean, before Faf du Plessis, it was AB de Villiers. Somehow, auction after auction, they haven't been able to figure out who their batting should be, and they haven't been able to get their batting right.
Yeah, that's unfortunately that's been a trend with Bangalore, right, over the 15 completed seasons we've seen. It's not without coincidence, Sneha and Abhishek, that the two really dominant IPL seasons that Bangalore had, one of them they were heavily dependent on runs from Chris Gale, and the second time was 2016 when Virat Kohli got all those hundreds. He almost got to 1,000 runs. You know, so if you're dependent on just one superstar to score the chunk of runs, I frankly don't see any such franchise as a title winning franchise. And again, this season, I mean, this may sound harsh again to any RCB fans watching, but I get the sense that RCB's batting starts with Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis and ends with Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis, because Glenn Maxwell, as intoxicating, as brilliant as the man can be, they're not giving him the ball this year. And if a team is playing 14 matches, I don't see Glenn Maxwell perhaps clicking in more than 5 of those, you know. So he's a bit of a lottery. And then, yes, Rajat Patidar is not around. But again, no offense meant, but Anuj Rawat, Mahipal, Lomror, you're batting these guys at 3 or 4. Something in your thinking, unfortunately, is amiss. So you hope for RCB's sake that, you know, the top 3 do score runs, but Dinesh Karthik is having a terrible time. I read an article that he just drew level with 15 ducks, which is a record in the league. So there are clear batting problems, Maya, with RCB.
That's right, and which is a valid point here, that, you know, you have Virat Kohli, Glenn Maxwell and Faf du Plessis, but what about others who come in at number 3 or 4? Michael Bracewell came once, Mahipal Lomror, Suyash Prabhudesai, as Jamie just mentioned, Anuj Rawat. I mean, that also just goes on to show, Abhishek, how big a loss Rajat Patidar has been.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yeah, they heavily were depending on Patidar to, you know, play that number 4 role for them, you know, with Virat possibly coming at 3 and Anuj Rawat continue would have opened the batting with Faf du Plessis. But that, you know, all those plans have now taken a back seat because Patidar is not in there. So Virat is opening, and they are yet to, you know, settle on Anuj's position, because in the last couple of matches he has been used as an impact player and has come down to bat at number 7 or even at number 8. So that clearly tells you where RCB stand in terms of their batting, and they have released. If you take out Virat Kohli from there and Faf du Plessis, who scored a brilliant 50 in the last game, then they would really struggle.
Okay, let's also talk about CSK's batting then. Now, one thing is how good a form Rituraj Gaikwad has been, Jamie, and it's fantastic to watch him. I mean, you see him and you know that, and for a lot of people, they say, you know what, when you look at CSK's batting, it's not the strongest, but we've seen 200 plus scores, I think, so far in the tournament from the Chennai batting. And on top of that, Rituraj Gaikwad looks good, you know, but they also seem to have a similar problem where they're dependent on 2 or 3 players to score bulk of their runs.
To an extent, yes, not as dependent as RCB are on their top three, like we've just discussed. And Abhishek rightly pointed out that Rajat Patidar, the absence is there, but not knowing who your number three and number four are. I'll come to CSK very shortly. I just think the fact that they're not batting Glenn Maxwell at number three consistently adds to RCB's problem. But look, CSK on paper, I fancy their batting a bit more because Rituraj Gaikwad has gone and walked the talk. He said before the IPL started that you need to really make the power play count, and more often than not, he's done the job. Devin Conway is a fantastic player, very successful across three formats for New Zealand, somewhat struggling to adapt to the Chennai pitch this time around, but I think he has enough of pedigree to cash in. Moeen Ali often bats at three. This time they're not batting him as often as I would like to see. I think if Dhoni and the management, Stephen Fleming, if they get Moeen Ali locked in at three and use that same template which worked last year, just go and hit and see what happens. That'll probably work. Ajinkya Rahane came in, got what, a 19 ball 50 in his first time in his CSK jersey. Shivam Dube has been up and down, but that's what you get. So overall, man to man, I think CSK's batting is far better. But that injury to Ben Stokes, you've lost a very critical player who could be your anchor and who, on the day, somewhat like a Faf du Plessis, could change gears very seamlessly. But Ravindra Jadeja, the batsman, is not clicked. Dhoni is batted at number 7, 8. I don't think fans should expect Dhoni to bat higher. The man is 40 plus. He doesn't play cricket throughout the year. He checks in a couple months before the season. He trains his rear end off, and he's doing pretty much all he can do. The one problem for me, Meha and Abhishek, is that Ambati Rayudu falls in that same category of not playing domestic cricket. And I think he's the potential weak link, which is why you've seen him more often than not be the impact player. But overall, man-to-man, CSK have far less batting problems than their opponents this evening do.
You know, we keep talking about the role of a finisher in these two teams. Who are the finishers for them? I mean, Dinesh Karthik's not getting runs for whatever we saw in the last season, and with Chennai Super Kings as well. I mean, Ravindra Jadeja, are you expecting him to finish the matches? Mahendra Singh Dhoni comes way too late. You know, he can do what he wants to, but where are your finishers? Look at what Rajasthan's doing with Shimron Hetmeyer.
Oh, absolutely. Very, very, very good point that you've raised. CSK have options, but again, it just comes down to either they're not clicking or the situation is demanding a certain kind of batting and they're not able to lock in that person. I think Shivam Dube, if given the right space and if the short ball problems can be countered, and by countered, I mean like eradicated very, very soon, he could be your finisher because Ambati Rayudu, I don't think he's a man for the job. Regards to Bangalore, like I said, your top three goes bust. Where are the runs going to come from? Dinesh Karthik was the finisher of last year in many people's eyes, which is what saw him come back into the Indian team. But that's a very different Dinesh Karthik. I think he's got 2 ducks in 4 innings, so he's not your finisher. So again, team to team, man to man, I think Chennai have options. It's just about they need to figure out who the finisher is. And whoever they lock in, Meya, I just hope they stick to that guy. Oftentimes we see Chennai chop and change to their own detriment.
Correct. The other thing being that MS Dhoni, you know, the way he's spoken about the team is very unlike MS Dhoni, but somewhere I feel like there is a strategy to it where he's probably asking the youngsters to do well, to stand up, to, you know, put their hand up. Because you see that. First, he talked about the bowlers and he said, you know what, I'm not going to keep captaining this team if this is how we're going to bowl. Then he said even about the middle over batting where he said we need to pull ourselves up. And do you get that sense as well, Abhishek? That, you know, because it's really about the youth now. He's looking at them and saying that, you know, maybe.
And this started long back because it started in 2020, I guess, when Ruturaj Gaikwad was making his debut for CSK. Before that breakthrough season of him, you know, Dhoni came at one of the post-match presentations and he said, you know, youngsters are not stepping up. He would like to see someone like a Gaikwad, you know, do justice to his talent and, you know, be more consistent. And from there onwards, you know, Gaikwad made a huge turnaround and look at where he is now. He was one of the retained players for CSK. And he is now, you know, one of the main guys out there, even being looked as, you know, the future successor to MS Dhoni, possibly when he leaves captaincy. So, yeah, and he is kind of, you know, expecting something similar from the likes of Tushar Deshpande. Obviously, Mukesh Chaudhary is not there, but we saw last season how he backed him, you know, got him that wicket of Ishan Kishan in a game against Mumbai Indians. audience went to him, talked to him, and asked him to bowl that Yorker, and he got Ishan Kishan, cleaned him up absolutely. So you see how a leader like MS Dhoni can really inspire youngsters to get to their best and perform their best. And I think he's expecting something similar from the likes of Deshpande, and he has got a young left-hander in Akash Singh again, who he would probably like to groom and make a good bowler for CSK, a good new ball.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen what he can do with a team when it comes to his captaincy. I mean, Sunil Gavaskar just said he's not seen a better captain than him and will not see another in his life. But that's how good MS Dhoni has been for India and for Chennai Super Kings specifically, because of the way he manages his resources, Jamie. We've seen this, they're being called Daddy's Army. They've been called players who are past their prime, and yet they end up getting into the knockouts. They end up winning trophies. So CSK is, and I think that's also the reason why they have this kind of fan following, because of MS Dhoni, sort of marshalling his troop well. But you can only marshal your troops when your players are not injured. How does he do that when he has some 4 to 5 bowlers who are injured? Ben Stokes, I think, is still injured. Deepak Chahar, after the second match, out. Don't know when he's going to be back. Sisanda Mangala, who was bowling for them, he is injured. Simarjeet is injured, I think. It's not going to be easy for him.
No, it's not going to be easy, and somewhat, I mean, of course, yes, 4 or 5 injuries can really set back the best of teams. But I think this is a potential weak area which could, in the long run, come and bite CSK in the wrong place. There's a bit of lack of depth. I think the batting covers itself, but the bowling, despite the injuries, the bowling is a bit weak. I mean, again, no respect to some of the uncapped domestic players, but there is a bit of a weakness. The fact that Tushar Deshpande, Rajvardhan, Hangarkekar, that they've been thrust into these roles at the start of the season. I mean, full credit for them for doing all the right things, ticking all the right boxes to earn a contract with CSK. But in the long run, when you get into the business and in a team which has its bowling issues, especially pace bowling, let's hope that these players are able to stand up. Because if they don't, definitely Dhoni might be giving a few more harsh statements as the season goes on.
Yeah. But this is going to be difficult, because I mean, for any of these teams who are trying to get through to the playoffs, you've got to make sure that you have your best team on the ground. So in that sense, is this going to hurt their chances?
I think, as Sir rightly pointed out, I mean, to not have a proper fast bowler, proper overseas fast bowler. Obviously, they invested on Kyle Jamieson. They thought he would be leading their pace attack this season, but he got injured before the season was ruled out. They bought in Sisanda Magala, who was expected to then take over sort of and lead that pace attack. But 2 games into the season and he is also out. You don't have Deepak Chahar available, who has been their new ball bowler for a while now. He has one of the best records in the IPL with the new ball. He's absolutely a gem in the power play overs. And when you don't have that, when you don't get early wickets, now they've got Mahesh Tikshana, who can come in the power play and contribute, might get them early wickets. Couldn't do that in the last game, but hopefully as the season progresses, we might see him getting wickets. But obviously in the death overs, it's a huge issue to not have a proper fast bowler. With Magala not there, I think the only viable option I can see, if Ben Stokes doesn't bowl, then they can rely on Dwayne Pretorius to bowl in the death overs, along with someone like Tushar Deshpande, who will have to step up, who will have to punch above his weight.
Yeah, he is the highest wicket taker I was seeing, but of course has been expensive in the tournament so far.
Right.
Okay, let's also then talk about, you were talking about new ball bowlers, and you were talking about how Deepak Chahar has been for Chennai Super Kings. We're talking about new ball bowling. I think RCB in that sense have been very good. Jamie, power plays have been getting the wickets. Mohammad Siraj has been looking good. How do you look at their bowling? I know Josh Hazlewood not being there is a huge blow for them, but it seems like they are doing pretty okay as of now.
Doing okay in the power play, absolutely. And in this regard, you rightly said Mohammad Siraj has been outstanding. I think over the last 3 years, he's really grown as a white ball player, and especially with his time with Virat Kohli and the setup there with RCB, who I have to again be a little harsh. Their bowling across 15 years has really been disappointing from my perspective. They always struggle to decide who that one overseas all-rounder and overseas fast bowler, which is why Josh Hazelwood numbers only 12, 13 matches, but he's been the standout overseas bowler. But look, Mohammad Siraj has a job to do for India and for RCB. Take
Yeah.
wickets up front. He's been outstanding. There was one match when I think 2 matches ago, his first 3 overs, he had like a wicket or two and only 5 runs. Outstanding. But with RCB, the problem has always been across these 15 plus seasons has always been the middle overs. They often do well. They often have very good death bowlers. Harshal Patel was very, very good at what he does for about 3 seasons. But that middle over phase has been a big problem. Losing Chahal, or I would say letting Chahal go, turning Chahal away, is a big mistake which they've not been able to plug that gap. Hasaranga did very well one season, but he's coming back from New Zealand. They really have to figure out. Siraj is there, Harshal is there. Beyond these two, who's going to stop the flow of runs in the middle overs and who's going to take your wickets? Because that, unfortunately, I'm not going to predict here, but it could be that defining chapter of RCB's season when we look at the scorecard and the points table about a month from now.
Okay, Kushan Sarkar has graced us with his presence, though we've been trying to connect with Kushan Sarkar, senior cricket journalist, but there were some network issues. But if you try hard enough, you succeed, and there he is, Kushan. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Hello, Jamie.
So we were discussing Royal Challengers Bangalore, Chennai Super Kings, and the big point that I asked Jamie, and there is my colleague Abhishek in the studio as well, we were talking about how this is, in fact, it could possibly be a big moment, one of their last encounters in the IPL if MS Dhoni chooses not to play next year, or if these two teams don't make it to the knockout stages. Of course, hypothetical at the moment. Nevertheless, big occasion for these two legends to be up against each other.
Certainly may have, but with MS, as we all know, who have been covering MS for the last 15 years, that with MS you can never predict, you can never say never.
Yeah.
And also the fact now with the impact player, next year, who knows, you might just see him keeping and captaining the team during fielding and actually not batting. His batting, if it's not required, not batting in most of the matches, how do you know? Like with MS Dhoni, you can never be sure what's going to happen. Only MS Dhoni knows what's going to happen, what's there in his mind. I don't even think that at times Mr. N. Srinivasan, who is like a father figure to him, or for the matter of fact, Suresh Raina or Ravindra Jadeja, who are his close-knit company, they would even know what's going on in his mind.
Yeah.
Probably. So that is why I would, with MS Dhoni, until and unless he's saying something, I wouldn't give up on MS.
Okay, that's true, and hopefully we will get to see him. But that's an interesting one where you're talking about impact player, and I think if there's somebody who can come out and crack this code of how to play like an impact player, just come and bat, like how we saw Rohit Sharma in the last match, then it'll be MS Dhoni next year. But just, I think I've got to let Jamie go. Just before that, Jamie, a quick one on Hasaranga. And I also wanted to talk to you, but I guess I'll put that question to Abhishek and to Kushan about Vijay Kumar Vyashak. Is he the missing link in that bowling? But first, Hasaranga, what do you think is his role in RCB, and will they stick with him?
I think, Meha, they have no option but to stick with him because Michael Bracewell was doing the job until Hasaranga got here. Hasaranga comes with a lot of pedigree. He's had a good season with RCB, can be somewhat expensive, but I think the fact that he has variety and he can, on more days than not, he will actually get you wickets. I think they should just stick with Hasaranga if he's fit. He offers something with the bat, very good fielder, but it's that middle over which has been problematic for RCB for so long. I think they should look at Hasaranga as the person to fill that hole, and let's wish him all the best because Bangalore needs it.
All right, Jamie Alter, thank you so much for joining us. He's got to go now, but what do you think of Vijay Kumar Vyashak? He's had a good debut, and again a dream debut really, but is he the missing link here for Royal Challengers Bangalore, Abhishek?
Yeah, he could be. I mean, he had a brilliant debut. He's the local boy, local star. has done the hard work to be where he is right now, and made a brilliant debut. Three wickets in his first game. You can't ask for anything better. But obviously he'll get better from there. He's in the company of Mohammad Siraj, who's currently the #1 ODI bowler. He also recently said that he's been speaking to Siraj about new ball bowling, and how to get wickets in the middle overs as well. And when you're around, players like Siraj, you have Harshal Patel in the team, you have Hazelwood in the squad, obviously it rubs off from them, and you sort of learn from them and try to execute in the games. And he did that fine in the first game, and will be trying to do that as the tournament progresses. And if you look at the alternative that RCB had apart from him, they had Akashdeep, who didn't quite got off to a good start this season, was not among the wickets. So bringing in a fresh change, letting him perform, RCB might benefit from that.
We were just talking about Royal Challengers Bangalore's batting as well, Kushan, and one of the things that Jamie was saying as well as Abhishek here, we were talking about the batting, and we said, the dependency on Virat Kohli and just couple of players, be it Virat Kohli, Chris Gayle earlier, AB de Villiers, now it's Faf du Plessis.
Faf and Virat and Glenn Maxwell.
Correct. Somewhere they've made that error of not being able to figure out who their number 3, 4 player would be, and Rajat Patidar being such a huge loss for them, because now they're expecting Mahipal Lomro to come and do the job, which I think is expecting too much out of him, or the likes of Suyash Prabhu Desai.
Mahipal, I may tell you, Neha, is more than a decent player. He has some decent knocks for Rajasthan Royals, and he has had good performances in the domestic cricket in Mushtaq Ali Trophy also. Can bowl a bit of left-arm spin that gives you another added option on a bad day. If one of your bowlers is going for runs, maybe you can use him for over or 2. I'm not saying that he's a 4-over bowler, but he can be your 2-over option. And that is number 1. Coming to Vijay Kumar Vaishak, since our friend was saying, I would like to watch Vijay Kumar Vaishak today more intensely, because the last match was against Delhi Capitals. Delhi Capitals is a team which this year is either they're going to finish 9th or they're going to finish 10th. The team is in shambles. So probably, and also the wickets that he got, like it won't be fair to take a call. Like he has had a good white ball season for Karnataka, but today he will be probably, if he's bowling with the new ball, he will be bowling to Ruturaj Gaikwad, who will be a notch above any of the Indian players in the Delhi Capitals lineup. You will have a Devon Conway, you might have a Moeen Ali, you might have a Shivam Dubey, all the heavy hitters who do the heavy duty hitting. So Vijay Kumar Vaishak's real test starts today against a far superior quality batting lineup than compared to what Delhi Capitals were.
But how good has Ruturaj Gaikwad been? I mean, we've seen him in the past as well, but to see him bat like this just looks good. It augurs well for the future of Indian cricket, and it's nice to see some of the shots that I've seen in this IPL.
You're talking about Ruturaj, right?
Yes. Yes, Kushan.
Hello.
Yes, I'm talking about Ruturaj Gaikwad, and also the dependency right now, because you do see CSK heavily dependent on him when it comes to their batting.
CSK is indeed heavily dependent on Ruturaj and a bit on Devon Conway, and I believe Moeen Ali also is playing its role. Ben Stokes' injury is a bit of a dampener, because I believe MS Dhoni, the kind of player he loves, he would have depended a lot on Ben Stokes. So Ben Stokes not being there is an issue. Deepak Chahar not being able to bowl those power play overs is an issue. Sisanda Magala, the player that Dhoni feels can nail those slowers at the death. Like, don't go by that physique, rotten physique of his.
Yes.
He can nail those wide Yorkers and those slowers pretty well. Does bowl a mean heavy ball as and when required. So he's not getting them. So CSK's main issue will be their bowling. It's their bowling that will be the main issue for CSK, not so much the batting. Not so much the batting. Bowling, still that team can chase 180 to 200 at the Chinnaswamy. But again, whether if even if CSK scores 180 to 200, can they defend it? Do they have that bowling arsenal apart from the fact Ravindra Jadeja and Mitchell Santner 8 overs? Now every day they are not going to nail those 8 overs correctly. So the Pacers will have to join the party and do a bit more than what they're doing right now.
But tell me one thing about the injuries. You said about Sisanda Mangala as well as Deepak Chahar, Simarjeet, I believe, is also injured. Ben Stokes injury.
Yes.
How difficult will it be from CSK from here on?
It will be difficult because I do not think that Rajvardhan Hangargekar and Tushar Deshpande are bowlers. They will probably win you those odd games. They are still, like Tushar has had a couple of seasons of IPL, but Rajvardhan, he was there in the team last year after the World Cup exploit, under 19 World Cup exploit, and this year he has got a chance. Probably for the last 1 year they were preparing him for this big thing. But at the end of the day, if you look at him like Deepak Chahar, the kind of bowler, but the simmer, but Mukesh Chaudhary, the kind of execution that Dhoni wants, probably it's not possible for them to do it consistently. I'm talking about both Tushar and Rajvardhan. Tushar, he got a beauty of a delivery to get Rohit that day.
Right.
But again, consistency will be a problem with these youngsters. Obviously, inexperience is another issue.
Okay, let's also talk about another moment really for Mumbai Indians and for a certain Sachin Tendulkar and Arjun Tendulkar on Sunday afternoon. What we saw was Arjun Tendulkar make his IPL debut for Mumbai Indians against Kolkata Knight Riders at the Wankhede Stadium. He was soon given the ball and ended with figures of 2 for 17. First father-son pair to have featured in the tournament. He wasn't needed to bat as Mumbai won the game by 5 wickets. And of course, then you had former cricketers take to social media and congratulate Sachin Tendulkar as well as Arjun Tendulkar. But this is, for Kushan, for someone like you who has covered this game for such a long time, we've also seen the controversy, when the under 14 selection happened for Mumbai. So over the years, we've seen, there have been accusations of nepotism and what else when it comes to Arjun Tendulkar. But describe for me the moment for you when you saw Arjun Tendulkar, and it seemed like he belonged there. It looked like that. I thought he bowled well. For you, how would you describe that moment?
The moment for me, first things first, Meha, is a feeling that I have grown old.
Yeah.
Because because Arjun was the ball boy during Sachin's last test match, which I covered in Mumbai. Arjun was one of the ball boys. He was one of the Mumbai under 14s.
Yeah.
And he was one of the ball boys on the last day. So, and Arjun, I have seen him bowl when we were in England in 2017. He was a part of the NCC Young Cricketers team. And he had bowled extensively at the India Nets. And I can tell you that I know how much hard Arjun worked. He's a hard-working boy. He's a very humble, very well brought-up boy. And the fact of the matter is, he's trying. You cannot do anything about it. The surname will stay with him forever. And I think that that is something that will always give him an inspiration. But it will be like comparing him with Sachin. Will be like comparing apples and oranges, because Sachin was batting, Arjun is bowling. So how in the world can you compare? How in the world can you compare? Had both of been batsmen, like Rohan Gavaskar always had that pressure that he carried, even during the 12 ODIs that he played. But in case of Arjun, he has just started. It will be his journey. He will have his successes. He will obviously have his heartbreaks. He will have disappointing days. He will have good days. And what emerges, like, he'll have to accept it as it is. And as cricket watching audience, obviously there is a larger context of the social media, memes and trolls, and we don't actually at times are, what should I say, empathetic towards these kids.
Yeah.
That what they face. We are seeing what they get, their privileges. But we probably at times do not see that what comes with the privileges is huge, humongous amount of responsibility and carrying the burden that another person coming from uh, a normal background or not having a famous father, they don't have that.
Right.
At least if they fail, the failure is their own. Here,
Absolutely.
the failure is for the family. So the kid has a lot to live up to, and so we should let him be.
Yeah.
Like and Rohit Sharma, knowing a bit of Rohit Sharma and the kind of leader that he is, I think he's the best leader that Arjun could have had at the start of his career. He's the best leader. He knows how to handle youngsters. Rohit Sharma has that uncanny ability of knowing how to handle youngsters. And so it couldn't have been better. There will be days he will not be played. They will play him according to the conditions where it will help probably. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, and he had bowled 6 dot balls, obviously. In T20 cricket, Dale Steyn has got hit for more than 20 runs. Stuart Broad, who has 500 plus Test cricket, one of the best in the contemporary era, he has got hit for 36 runs. So Arjun Tendulkar will also have his share of hammering
Yeah.
that every bowler goes through, but that's the learning process, that's the learning curve.
Yeah.
But we have to give him that chance. Every time, if we bring in the surname, obviously that is being very unfair to the kid.
Absolutely. And to think that when he does have those bad days, you know, you don't bring it back and say, but you are Sachin Tendulkar's son and look at what he did. And I think that just has to, I mean, but I know social media is cruel. We've seen that, but hopefully that does not happen.
That's very cruel.
Yeah.
That's very cruel.
Hopefully that does.
And you can't help it. That comes
Yeah.
with the territory. You will have to accept that. Like we are
Absolutely.
talking, we as journalists, we will be empathetic probably to an extent. But social media won't be. There will be very, I would say, memes that hurt you.
Yeah.
Like someone will laugh, but someone deep down would be hurt. Someone would
Absolutely.
bleed. But yeah, that comes to the territory and you have to take it. You have to take it with a pinch of salt. No, maybe not with a pinch of salt, maybe with a tablespoon of salt.
That's right.
Just a pinch of salt won't do.
Yeah. Okay. Coming back to the game then, RCB versus Chennai Super Kings. Who has the advantage? Both these teams, Kushan, they've lost 2 games and won 2 at the bottom of the table. Going into the match today, who has the advantage?
I believe RCB will carry the home advantage and RCB will have a better advantage if they can bat first. If they can, it will be a very good toss to win if they can bat first and post 210, 220, which is par for the course at the Chinnaswamy. They have Virat Kohli, they have Glenn Maxwell towards the end, and they have Faf du Plessis, 3 senior players who have done it time and again. So if they can get 200, 210. If you look at CSK's batting stat, Neha, you will see that after Ruturaj, no one, even Devon Conway, the second highest scorer, is 98 runs of 4 matches. So that tells you a story that apart from Rutu, who has nearly 200 runs, and the next best is less than 100 runs. So you can see that the batting isn't still clicking like they would want it to be. So a big total, a scoreboard pressure might just work in favor of RCB. It worked at the end of the day. It was good on Sandeep Sharma's part to nail those 2 block hole deliveries, but at the end of the day, it did help that Rajasthan had put up a decent score on the board. On this Chinnaswamy track, which is a batting belter, 210 is the minimum I expect from RCB if they can bat first.
Okay, the quick reaction also from Abhishek. Abhishek, how do you see this playing out for Royal Challengers Bangalore and for Chennai Super Kings? Just we wrap this up and then.
Yeah, I agree with sir, but I think CSK's batting needs to step up now, and I think today could be the day because they are going to bat at Chinnaswamy, which has been a batting paradise. Not this season, but over the years, the Chinnaswamy wicket has really helped the batters. I think CSK have other CSK batters apart from obviously Ruturaj Gaikwad and Devon Conway. Other batters have really a good chance today to step up and show that they've got it in them and really get this batting together. Because you don't have Ben Stokes, you don't know when he's going to come back. You have Moeen Ali who's misfiring. Ambati Raidu hasn't got too many runs. But you know that there is an MS Dhoni who's there to sort things out and finish things in a good way. If you even fail, so if you have to take your chances and you have to go after these RCB bowlers and try to post a big total if you're batting first. If you're chasing, I think it's better for CSK if they chase, because their strength lies in their batting, and they would back themselves to chase any total down, especially if they're playing at the Chinnaswamy.
Okay, we wrap this up, but thank you so much, Kushan, for joining us here. And Abhishek as well. It is Royal Challengers Bangalore versus the Chennai Super Kings. MS Dhoni versus Virat Kohli, two legends of the game, meeting each other in what is their only game that they play in the group stages. Of course, if they make it to the playoffs, then we'll see them again. But the big game today between Royal Challengers Bangalore and Chennai Super Kings. Do log into News9 Live for all the latest from the world of sports. Also our YouTube channel. You can watch all sports programming here. We'll be covering the IPL. We'll be covering other sports as well. So log in and do subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. That's it from us. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.